Get your hands dirty with the Gardening Gang. Saturday mornings at 8 on Coast FM 963.
Mr. Stevie Wonder, right here at Coast FM, kicking off the Gardening Gang with Pete Little and Cheralyn Darcy. Another 2 hours of fabulous gardening news on this, the very first weekend of spring. And Cheralyn has the new look in her hair today, which you will be alerted to a little later on today, because we're going to reveal the colour of her hair, because it's not the usual gorgeous blonde. And no excuses, but all will be revealed later on when we talk.
I have got an excuse. I do.
Good morning. Feeling good for spring?
Yeah, I'm feeling fantastic. I've got a spring in my step. It's, the butterflies are out there, and a few of the cabbage moths too as well, gardeners. I'm sorry about that. And, it's all we're getting ready for spring. We've got to get our gardens ready as well. We're ready.
Well, lots of tips about that today. We're talking to a whole bunch of people who have got knowledge and the wisdom to help you with your gardening chores this time of year.
Yes.
In the meantime, I thought we'd play a nice little song here about the rain, which we expect today,
right,
the park, and a whole bunch of other things. And good morning to Callie, who called us in from Wyong this morning. Very keen to hear that. She said, I have not heard that song for as goodness knows how long. So thanks for pumping that one out, Pete and Cheralyn.
Yay!
That's what it's all about, guys. The Gardening Gang is here to help, because this may well be the first opportunity for some people to dabble in the garden. They may have moved into a new house and found issues, and they've now been down to the nursery. They've pumped themselves up. Is it the right time of the year for new gardeners to kick in, Cheralyn?
It is, actually, and you might not think so, because it's very, very busy. Everything's happening right now. We're getting ready for spring. There's a lot of work to be done, whether you've got an established garden or whether you've got nothing. You've got to reinvigorate soil so it's ready for the more sort of hungry plants of spring, I want to say. I'm trying to be really nice here. And it can be really, really busy time. But the thing about now is that you get results quite quickly in spring. So I find that if you're a beginner gardener, you're getting results, and that's making you feel good. And it's like anything in life, it's like if you start getting results quickly, you get happy about it and encouraged and enthused, and you keep going. So I think it's a fantastic time to start.
It might also be the time before those bugs and slugs start taking over, because they don't come till probably November when the humidity increases.
Well, we've got you get more then. And the other thing is, I quite like it. Those of us who are like full-on gardeners and we've been doing it for a long time, I don't mind gardening in the wet and the rain and the cold. I quite enjoy it. But it can be a bit miserable feeling, especially when it's just mud and dirt and you can't see things happening. But that's the great circle of life in gardening.
That's it, being one with nature.
That's right.
You've got a pile of gardening books, and they all say the word spring on the front page. I wonder why.
That. Yeah, that's right. It's spring, spring, spring. And it is a busy time. We put in a lot of plants at this time. It's a fantastic time to plant seeds of any sort. And, of course, it's the time of our veggie gardens, our beautiful summer veggie gardens. And if you get started right now, I can tell you that by Christmas time, you are going to be able to have all your veggies for Christmas as well. And even before, all your summer salads are taken care of. You'll be able to have the most amazing tomatoes ever, lettuce out the yin-yang, everything, all your herbs, everything. So if you get started now, there you go.
What was that yin-yang?
At the yin-yang.
What is that? I missed that explanation.
At the yin-yang, everything. I don't know.
I see. It's a phrase I've not come across before.
Maybe
only used in Lake Marmora.
Maybe just, up north. I know you're a southerner. Up north, we speak a bit different up there.
Well, we're going to go to a song now for a part of the world that is about to go into winter.
Coast FM, you're at home with the Gardening Gang with Pete and Cheralyn. And Pete, I've got a very special expert on the line at the moment, Tania Hayden, and she is the coordinator of the Community Garden Network for the Central Coast. Tanya.
This is the one. Tanya's actually the mother of Central Coast Community Gardens.
That's one way of putting it.
Tanya. We met Tanya some time ago at East Gosford.
We did.
Did you wear the country hat? I think the wide-brimmed hat.
I did.
Oh, do you still wear that? Are you wearing that this morning, Tanya?
I do. I wear that all the time.
That is your calling card. Love it. Okay. So, Tania Hayden, you're joining us this morning. You're our primary guest with the gardening gang, and we're talking to you today about the world of community gardens.
Yeah, and Spring Gardening Blitz, because Tanya's also, you're the coordinator at Woy Woy Community Gardens as well, is that right, Tanya?
Yes.
So we're talking about getting your gardens ready for spring, and I've shared a few of my tips, but I wanted, because everybody has different tips for gardening, as we've learned. So I thought I'd ask you, what are your tips for getting your garden ready for spring?
Well, my tips for getting the garden ready for spring is looking after the soil. The soil's the most important thing for getting your garden ready for spring, because you've got to replace everything that your winter crops have taken out. You've got to replace all those nutrients and prepare the soil for your new crops.
And turning the soil as well, Tanya, is that something that you do with your equipment, or do you have a machine for that, or
someone that will top up the existing beds or create new beds with soil rather than turn it so much, because there's so much in a biome below the surface of the soil that you don't want to destroy the fungi and upset all the little critters under there that do a lot of work for us.
You're a very understanding person, Tanya. You care, don't you? You really care. So how are how are your duties in terms of coordinating the community gardens going?
Well,
have they fallen away because of the COVID?
Things have gone quiet at the community gardens. You will find that they're closed, and most of them are just being looked after by maybe 2 people at a time to maintain them and keep them safe. Gone dormant, I'd say, until we get out of lockdown and we can thrive again.
Yeah, with the laws, I've been looking into this because I'm at a community garden as well. So I just thought we might discuss how people can still look after a community garden. I was asked by one of the community gardeners, can we still go there? And you can, but you've still got to observe those rules, because gardening is classified as recreation and exercise.
It is recreation and exercise, and most certainly you do have to abide by the health orders, and so physical distancing and masks apply. Some are completely locked up altogether. They have fences and gates.
Barriers
some are
and all
quite
up.
open.
Okay.
Some are quite open, like mine at Woy Woy and East Gosford. They're open reserves where people can just walk through. So it's fine to be in the garden for exercise and recreation, as long as you're physically distanced and wear your masks and
so we can't have one of those big parties like that Saturday morning at East Gosford with maybe 50 people. We're all having lovely coffee. Yes.
So we miss those terribly.
The social aspect.
We'd have up to 30 people gardening together and having morning tea, and that's something that we can't do anymore, and we miss that terribly.
It will return. Gladys said it will one day.
It will. In the meantime,
it must.
But in the meantime, you've put together a really good Facebook page. Do you want to just explain that a little bit better?
Well, the Central Coast Community Garden Network page on Facebook is one that was put together so that everybody knew who was out there and what they're doing. Having meetings regularly between the coordinators of the community gardens kept us able to support each other. We have shared goals of promoting community and sustainability and physical and mental health, teaching people how to garden, grow healthy food. So
and have some fun. Yes.
Yeah, we support each other in that, and we come together and share ideas and seeds and plants and knowledge. And if anyone wants to know how to get involved in a community garden or start one up, then getting in touch with the network can get you in touch with other people that have already done it before, and they can let you know what it takes.
I'll put the link up of the Central Coast Community, it's good, Central Coast Community Garden Network up on our Facebook page now for everybody to have a look. So finding it on Facebook.
Yes,
wonderful.
Central Coast Community Garden Network.
That's
and
right.
They can communicate with the mother of this network. We call her the mother of the network, Tania Hayden. Thanks for joining us this morning, Tanya. It's nice talking to you again.
Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Cheers now. Bye. Bye. Almost 8:30 right here from Coast FM. Now, we're talking about the big Spring Garden Blitz on the radio this morning with the Gardening Gang. And just imagine it's me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
I'm looking at you.
I'm standing in front of my garden, which has got a bit dilapidated for the upcoming, spring, after winter, of course. Mm-hmm. So where do I start, Petal?
Okay.
Because we had some tips from Tanya. What are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts? Her tips are fantastic. They are. Let's dial it right back. So you're standing right there and it's just like, oh no, my cabbages are looking sad, my broccoli's fallen over, and my beans are
and
just...
the aspidistras?
The aspidistras. And the aspidistras are, not very good. Anyway, so we're standing there. So the first thing we want to do is pull them out, get rid of them. So the things that are, annuals.
Oh, really?
Not your perennials. You're not going to get any more from those vegetables and things. Look, if it's aspidistras you will, but, leave them. Just give them a little bit of TLC. So what you need to do is get rid of your winter crops, pull them all out. That's it. And we're not buying, just get out of the nurseries at the moment, all of you. Get out of there. You shouldn't be buying, you should be buying seeds at the moment. And if you're buying seedlings, put them in a little shade house, put them to the side. Do not bung them straight into the garden right yet. You need to, as Tanya said, look after the soil first. That's the first thing you need to do. Now, I like to give mine a little bit of poo, a little bit of the old, manure.
A few droppings.
A few droppings. So there's lots of different solutions online. If you have it, jump on to, of course, our good friends at Coast Community Newspapers, the Coast News yesterday and the Chronicle during the week. You will find my exact recipe for a collection of compost, manures and worm castings that you can throw into your garden. But look, honestly, imagine an above ground 2 metre by 1.5 metre sort of area.
Nice bed.
Right, yeah, a bed. I'd be throwing in a bag of 50 litre bag of cow poop, maybe some rooster booster, maybe half a bag of that, and a really good 2 wheelbarrows of compost into my soil after I've pulled everything out, pulled out our old roots and things, and digging it all over and leaving it for a couple of weeks at least. So it all just goes down there. And I'll be doing it today because it's going to rain tomorrow, so that'll be good. That'll get it all mushy and all in there. So you like
Makes
that?
Makes sense, yeah.
Okay, so that's what we'll be doing, getting rid of all those things and replenishing the soil. Now, what did you grow last year? Did you grow tomatoes in that plot or that area? Because if you did, you need to grow them somewhere else. Tomatoes need to be rotated.
We did lettuce last year.
You did lettuce. You could throw some tomatoes in that area now. So I like to rotate all of my crops around a little bit as well, my spring crops. So because they use different nutrients in the soil. So whatever's depleted from that area, you can go over to another area. So you shouldn't grow tomatoes. You know what we're going to talk about next week? Guess.
No.
Tomatoes.
Oh, of course.
I'm so excited.
You did warn me about that, so I was very
keen. We're going to do
keen.
tomatoes next week, so hold your horses, everybody. Hold your Tommies. We're talking about them next week. Okay, so you've got to figure out, where am I going to plant everything? So get yourself a little guide together. Now, if you're brand new, here we go. Do not go and buy 50 million, or all out the yin-yang, as I like to say, of plants. Think about how much you're going to actually eat or even share. You don't need 10 different tomato plants if it's just you and your cat, okay? You only need probably 1 or 2. That's it. So just be realistic. And here's another thing. This is a big tip for all the beginning gardeners and the ones that have been gardening for a little while and feeling a little bit like, oh, things aren't working. Don't go too hard, too big, too early, okay? Start with just a few plants. Even start with 3 or 4 plants, like a lettuce, a tomato, maybe a cucumber. That's it. All your herbs, they're easy enough to grow. And focus on those. It's much better to focus in on things you know you're going to eat and really look after them, and then expand as you go along.
Yes, just the old adage, it's quality before quantity.
That's right. So that's what you need to do. You need to just get those things started. Now, follow the directions on seed and seedling labels and packets when you start off. Now, getting your seeds in now, we've been talking about seeds. Put them in now. You can put them under cover somehow. You can get those little greenhouses or put them inside under a window and start your tomato seeds off, and a lot of the seeds that you want to grow as well that you can put in a few weeks' time. It's all about when the soil's warm enough. You're going to find that down on the beaches, say on the Central Coast, you'll probably be able to get things in the next couple of weeks, maybe a few weeks after that if you're out in the mountains or up in the hinterlands, because you still might get a bit of frost. It's a bit colder as well at night. So it's about how warm the soil stays at night. So there's greenhouses there's little greenhouses or even bigger ones. It's all about keeping the soil warm inside it. That's the whole what's happening there as well.
Okay, well, that's a good tip there for young players, as they call them.
Yes, or any players, any players at all.
A bit of rain, as you mentioned, is good for the rejuvenation of that soil and the garden and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, I'm excited.
Right. Are you getting excited?
Well, I might get MC Microbe around to see if he'd like to do all the hard work.
He probably
I'm
would.
keen to get the young people involved in my garden.
Well, they're really into gardening these days, which is a good thing, Pete. It's a really good thing.
Yes, that's right.
I love it.
And
I'm the garden gnome. And this is the Gardening Gang.
Coast FM, it is Pete Little and Cheralyn Darcy here, Saturday morning with the classic hits, and also we've got a very noisy... Are you making that racket there in the background with MC Microbe? He's dressed in green and looking keen this morning. G'day, mate, how are you?
G'day there, guys. G'day, I'm good, as always.
It's all the dirt. And MC, you've been giving us some tips over the past couple of weeks about things to read and digest because of this restriction that's still going on, mate. So what have you recommended for our listeners for this weekend's stay-in, mate?
I'm following on from last week's books, and the book recommendations are all about the mushrooms, actually.
Yes.
And instead of last week was just a bit more general knowledge and finding out, what people think about mushrooms. And this week I want to talk a bit more about growing the mushrooms yourself.
Ooh, yes.
I'd rather talk about eating the mushrooms myself, my friend. You know, that's what they're all about. They're not there to look pretty.
Yep. You got to grow them first, though, Pete. So what do you got?
You got to grow them first. That's right.
For us,
MC, what tips have you got for us, mate?
There's a couple of great tips in these books, Pete and Cheralyn. One's called DIY Mushroom Cultivation, and literally it is a great explanation to be able to do it yourself in any setting. It's the growing of the mushrooms at home for food, medicine, and for the soil. And it's by Willoughby Aravello. A fantastic book. It's broken down into stages and steps for you to follow. And, a lot of people say that this started them on their mushroom growing journey.
Mushroom journey.
You love it?
Everything in life's got a journey to it. I love that PC talk, mate.
Yep.
And so DIY mushrooms. Now, it does sound fascinating, I've got to say, because wine takes about a year to grow, a new crop every year. But mushrooms, what would they be? Would you get a crop every 3 months, MC?
Yeah, probably even less, actually. Out of a few of these species, you can get a crop of oyster mushrooms in less than 2 weeks, really, if it's in a good spot.
Oh, they're nice. I like those. They're nice in Asian cookery.
I don't know the oyster ones, but that's okay because I'm thinking about the real ones. About 3 months from now, it's Christmas, of course, so get your crop in now. And you'll have a good crop for Christmas time.
You'll be able to stuff your turkey with nice mushrooms.
So where will I find this magnificent and attractive book, mate, DIY Mushroom Farming? Where will I find that? By Willoughby.
You can actually find it on Goodreads, which is an online platform, or you could probably you probably couldn't actually head into any of the major bookstores at the moment, so probably go online and have a look there.
Oh, good thinking, mate. Fabulous thinking. Okay, so Willoughby, what was his second name? Willoughby...
Aravello.
Aravello, okay, got it.
That's right. He's good friends with another guy called Trade Cotter, and this fella taught himself how to cultivate mushrooms just by watching videos and researching. So he literally started off not in this role at all, and he's found himself just becoming a bit obsessed with it to the point of where he's written a book on it. This one is called Organic Mushroom Farming and Micromediation. It's a simple, 2 advanced and experimental techniques for indoor and outdoor cultivation. So that's a whole broad scape for those people who maybe they've already started growing mushrooms themselves and they want to learn a bit more.
Prove their technique, yep.
Prove their technique. And that's a good one to go for. And that's Trade Cotter. He's a bit of a well-known name.
Yes. I like the fact that he shows you how to grow your mushrooms outside as well, because a lot of this cultivation at home is indoors, and, of course, you can grow them outdoors as well, so I like that.
Okay,
Exactly.
well, that seems to have the seal of approval from both MC Microbe and Cheralyn and Darcy. Two of those journals there, mate. Congratulations. I'll put the stamp on these.
It's got the gardening gang stamp on it. That's it.
That's it.
Oh.
Certified.
That's certified by the gang.
That's it.
I'm just getting my head in the books, and we'll see what I can come up with for next week.
Okay, well, today Cheralyn has appeared with a new colour hair, mate. She's got a little pink wash. People would know from her photos in the paper it's normally a lovely shiny blonde. But excuses, can't get to the,
Hairdressers, can't buy blonde.
Can't do her own Clairol, so she's got the
It's
red
not blonde.
the red rinse at the moment. Looks very fetching.
I'll do something dramatic like dyed green. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It'd be good. MC with the green hair. That would go really well. Mr. Green.
You know, the good thing about the radio is I can just tell you I've done it and you won't really know.
And I can tell people I have hair, and they won't really know.
Yes, well done.
Hey, thanks, mate. Been a good sport. We'll catch you next week.
Thanks,
Okay?
MC.
Okay. Thanks a lot,
Bye.
guys.
Coast
Bye.
FM with the gang, the gardening gang with our coloured hair on Coast FM 963 Saturday morning. Oh, every woman needs a good affair, don't they? And that's Mrs. Robinson at Coast FM 963. What a great movie that was too. It's one of those coming-of-age movies for we young ones back in the 60s.
Back in the day.
10 minutes before 9, the Gardening Gang with Pete Little and Cheralyn Darcy, being sponsored today by Alan Graham's Caravans and RVs. Check their range out online, and also Doormaster Security Doors and Windows. The Crim Safe people. Now, lovely call or acknowledgement came through this morning from Steve from Anos. He's loving the show. Anos, do you know what?
Yes, it's the Australasian Native Orchid Society, Steve Dunscombe, and we met him down at his orchid show.
Oh, lovely guy, Steve. Thank you for calling up, mate.
Thanks, mate. And, happy spring to you too, and I love your orchids. They're gorgeous.
We love you, mate. Okay, time to get your... I don't think this is the right time for the bell, is it?
I'm just sitting
That normally
here
is the school
I haven't put
gardening.
my school uniform on yet. My headmistress is...
And we have a well-known celebrity coming up next hour, but in the meantime,
Yeah, we do.
it's time to get your hands
Let's
dirty.
Get your hands dirty. Time to get your hands dirty, coasties and everybody else that's in a temperate zone, wherever you are in the world. Maybe even Iceland. We've got someone listening from there. Okay, let's get our hands dirty this week. Tasks and tips for gardeners. Soil health check. Let's do that. You can have your soil checked at most garden centres, including our friends at Narara Valley Nursery. You just take a bit of soil over there. Just a bit, mind you. They don't need a wheelbarrow full. Just a little bit, and they can check your soil and find out what you can do about it. So they can do it. They do it, or you can obtain kits and meters as well. You need to make sure the pH level suits the plants that you intend to grow. Okay?
You might get to meet Vicki if you go down to Narara Valley too.
She's hot. Okay, prepare your beds. I've just told you that before, by enriching organic matter and fertilisers, and start making your spring planting plans. If you haven't already, get off your butts and do it. Let's do it. Okay, what can you plant though this week? You could plant artichokes, asparagus, crowns, Cape gooseberries, capsicums now. They haven't been around for a bit. You can start putting the caps in now. Beetroot, climbing and dwarf beans. Finally, been waiting for those. You can put those in now. Cabbages, some of the baby ones I do. Carrots, celery, chicory, chocos now as well. Cress as well. Cucumbers. I love the cucumbers. Eggplants, endive. A lot of the melons can go in now, and so can the squashes finally. Lettuce, spring onions, parsnips, peas, potatoes, radishes, rhubarb, crowns. You can tell it's coming up the spring. There's so many now.
That's called an abundance, my dear.
Oh, we're still going. Sweet corn, calendula, Californian poppy. There's so many flowers. These are just a few. Carnations, what do they call that thing? Coxcomb, that's it. Chrysanthemums, cosmos, dahlias, dianthus, everlasting daisies. Gazanias can go in there. Gerberas, marigolds, petunias, salvias, zinnia, kangaroo paw, nasturtiums.
Stop.
Step back and tell me. No, but you don't have to do all of them, everybody. Remember, just pick a couple and start now.
Now, can Steve put orchids in there? No, wrong time for orchids.
Orchids are flowering at the moment.
Oh, they're flowering already.
Yeah, well,
I just want to get Steve in there, kind of weave him into the conversation.
Stop me now. Look, the orchids, we would have been at the orchid show, like, at the moment, but unfortunately because of COVID, that's, boom. Anyway.
Does your husband tell you talk just a little too much sometimes?
Nah, never.
G'day, Paul. You're a saint, mate. We love her.
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
Okay, well, there it is. Get your hands dirty and there's lots. If I missed something, have I?
Yeah, you have, because after the news, or am I too early? I'm just so excited this morning about spring. I'm bouncing off the walls.
Well, we've got our special guest at You and Your Garden after 9 this morning, and it's going to be someone people are aware of the name, but you might not know the flavour. We'll find out real soon.
That's it.
Here at Coast FM. Coast FM is the Gardening Gang with Pete Little and Cheralyn Darcy, the second hour of the show. This little segment has been one of our favourites, and that is You and Your Garden. A local resident here on the coast, and we talk about their garden and any problems they need Cheralyn to answer in terms of fix it or fatten it up or whatever. That's the word. Now, today is somebody people may know. We have sponsors here at Coast FM. Frank the Roofer has been a great supporter of this radio station for a couple of years now, and Frank Scarphone is joining us today. And Frank lives in a house.
He does.
Not in a roof.
No, he doesn't. Welcome, Frank.
Frank, good to see you here, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure to be here.
Why have we chosen Frank as our garden man of the week?
Okay, Frank doesn't actually have a problem. He just has an amazing garden that I want to share with people. And it's not just the fact that the garden looks amazing. He's not really a gardener.
Well, Frank, get out of here.
That's it. I've chosen Frank because he used a landscaper to get his garden all created and into tip-top shape. There's a lot of people out there that don't actually garden themselves for various reasons. Maybe it's time constraint, maybe they can't actually physically do it, or they just want to get it started by somebody else, an expert, and then keep doing it themselves. That's what Frank's done.
Okay, so Frank is under the microscope this morning. So, Frank, why didn't you do the work yourself? Are you too busy?
Well, Peter, I'm quite fortunate that I have a nephew who is a professional landscape gardener who helped me immensely. I can't take credit for all of it, but I certainly helped in the design, Pete.
And you paid him too.
Well, that's to be debated.
No, I think you're pretty happy. The photos look fantastic.
Yeah, they're lovely. I'm going to put them up on our Facebook page so our listeners can have a look at them and be a bit inspired as well.
Now, Frank, where is the house situated on the coast?
At West Gosford, Pete.
Okay, West Gosford, right.
And what was the major concern before you started? Like, did you have a garden there at all? Or how did it look, actually?
It was quite disgusting when I first moved in. There was just nothing at all. And it's a small area, so I needed someone to give me the benefit of a garden that didn't look quite small, because I'm not home a lot. Right. Work quite a bit and social life as well. So I needed something that was easy to manage. And Matthew looked after me and created a really, really lovely area.
Oh, well done, Matthew.
That's really
a free
good.
plug for Matthew.
So what did he do?
Well, he actually looked at it in the sense of breaking up areas, whereas now I have decking, I have green area and also a dry area. So for an area of 20-odd square metres, he's really nailed it and given me somewhere I enjoy sitting.
Okay. And with plant selection, did you come up with those or did he? How did that happen?
I basically asked him to give me some plants that were already established. We put in some bamboo that gave me privacy with my neighbours. So it was we both came up with it together.
So you're pretty happy with that decision to have a landscaper then, Frank?
I certainly am. Look, it helped a lot because it just fine-tunes those thoughts you have and he can see what you're trying to achieve. So definitely.
And, mate, it's not breaking work when you just pay the bill, is it?
It's hard yelling at him, Peter, but I find that quite easy to do.
Well, that's one way of approaching tricking up your garden. Get somebody in that knows what they're doing. That's what I'd be doing, I've got to tell you, Frank, because my knowledge is about as good as yours, maybe even less. Frank's been our guest this morning, Frank Scarphone from Frank the Roofer here on You and Your Garden. Good to see you, buddy.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks for having me. Really enjoyed it, and the show's absolutely brilliant.
It was great.
Lovely, Frank.
You're listening to Coast FM 963. This is At Home with the Gardening Gang with Pete and Cheralyn. Cheralyn and Pete, actually.
The Gardening Gang with Pete Little and Cheralyn Darcy. Now, we have had some really interesting requests for help through the gardening School of the Radio this morning, or the School of the Air, we call it. So Cheralyn is going to share her thoughts and her knowledge this morning for just a moment. Off you go.
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted
Go on,
me to wait for
pressure's
something.
on.
Okay, Terry, we've got lots of emails. And can I say thank you so much. I've been ploughing through our emails. If you'd like to send me an email, it's gardeningscentralcoast@gmail.com, gardeningscentralcoast@gmail.com. And I have been answering them as I can. You can appreciate it's a busy time. And I'm just going to talk about one, maybe two at the moment. One is from Terry Logan, and we've had this question on air a few times as well. And Terry writes, we're in the process of building our new home, and we're about 500 metres from the lake, and the soil is clay. Our development approval says we should consult with our council arborist about the type of tree. However, I tried to do this and waited a month and finally talked to a person that told me that nobody currently holds this position, but suggested a water gum. A Google research suggested that this could grow 10 metres high and 5 metres wide. I don't think that that's pretty good. He wants something smaller. He doesn't think so. I don't think so either.
You say 5 metres wide?
5 metres wide and 10 metres tall. So there's nobody in council at the moment.
For one tree?
Yeah, he said, I don't want a tree like that. He said that wasn't very good advice. Yeah, water gum. I was a bit like, rah! And he said, look, I don't think that would be good to plant in the street. Terry, I don't know who told you that. I might write a little letter to council and just go,
Might be a trainee.
Yeah. No, well, they haven't got anyone. It might be just a guesstimate. Okay, what I want to suggest, Terry, and I can think of a few things off the top of my head, contact GUST, G-U-S-T. Now, they are situated right here. They're Central Coast. The most amazing group of people grow urban shade trees. If you're on Facebook, just look them up, Grow Urban Shade Trees. There's a team of community volunteers, and they will talk to you online as well, and they will have a look at photographs of your area because, COVID, they can't get around as much these days, but they will give you a list of trees that are exactly suitable for your area, and I'll send this in an email. And I'd like to suggest everybody, there's a lot of people asking me about verge trees and planting, and you've really got to talk to these guys. They're guys and girls. They're amazing. So that's my answer. So my answer is talk to GUST.
Okay, well, it reminds me of gusty winds when we did the weather forecast.
Yeah. And look, as I said, I can give you a list, but they will really look at that and tell you. And they're doing great work. They're the people to speak.
Cheralyn, you've got a particular interest in but introducing the children into gardening. Do your kiddies sort of take to the garden at all? Have they gone there? I know they've left home. Were they into the gardening at all? Your daughter?
Yeah, daughter, very
the
much
tattooist.
so. You're the tattooist. She loves houseplants, and she loves to say, I was into houseplants before it was a trendy thing, so which is true. And she's just moved into a new place and is doing a veggie garden now. So she is, yes, very much into gardening, very, very much.
I reckon you can get kids in there probably 9, 10s or maybe even younger, can't you? Just play around in the garden.
I tell you what, I was inspired by my mum, and my mum was inspired by her dad. So, yeah, absolutely. That's how you can get them in there even younger, Pete, right down to toddler. Actually, at Swamp, the community garden, it's not on at the moment, we have a play group that's on for little toddlers before they go to school. And that's what they do.
I think many of the kindergartens around the coast do have a little garden for the kiddies to wallow in, don't they?
Well, I'm hoping actually after lockdown that we'll talk to some of the school gardeners and the school gardens. We'd already had it lined up and unfortunately locked down, so that is something that will be coming up in the future for sure.
New segment. Gardening for the kiddies.
Gardening for kids. Absolutely.
Lovely.
It is good.
Okay, 27 minutes after 9 o'clock. Still to come on this show, we'll find out from Lachlan McDonald whether it's worthwhile paying $300 to allow your pet to stay with you in a high-rise apartment. Yes, he answers that question. And also, too, we're going to be talking to Vicki, what's hot and what's not in the gardens. Vicki coming up next. Such a busy morning and so many lovely people called up to say, what a wonderful day to be alive. Even though we're locked down, Vicki's not locked down. She's working today at the Narara Valley Nursery. What's hot and what's not, Vicki? Well, what's the call we give you, Vicki? It's holy foliage.
Holy foliage.
For the first weekend of spring. I think it might be fair to say you could be busy at the nursery at the moment.
We are pumping. It has been a big week this week. Massive.
Okay, well, on that basis, thank you for joining us, taking a bit of time out of you. No, you probably don't mind having a break anyway this
I love
morning.
it.
And
I do.
we're going to be talking about what's hot and what's not in the nursery world. So in general terms, what has been the most demanded item that you've found the last couple of weeks? Vicky?
Oh, in our garden centre?
Wherever.
I'll start with what's hot across the garden centres because I've been stalking all the garden centres again. So we'll start with Burbank and Erina. They're boasting decorative flowers and stems, you know, the dried ones that you love, Cheralyn.
Oh, I do love those. Yes. Nice.
They're also saying succulents are their hot ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Burbank at Kincumber, they are in hanger heaven. They've got hangers coming out of their ears by the looks. Impact plants at Empire Bay. They're boasting palms, and in particular lady palms and travellers palms. Acorn Garden Centre at Point Clare. They're saying chili plants, dwarf citrus and dwarf nectarines and peaches are pretty hot there.
Mm-hmm.
And Foresters Beach, they have a fresh delivery of native plants and they also have beautiful flowering bougainvilleas.
These are free ads for these nurseries. Vicky, can you get some advertising sales for me, please?
I know.
What about the north? What about up...
direct message me for my address and they can send me the checks in the mail.
We better cover the northern part of the coast too, because around Charmy in there, they've got some nice nurseries that we should feel inclusive about that part of the world.
Oh,
as
do you
well.
know what? I actually, and I'm so sorry, Sharmhaven Garden Centre, and I know Steve very well. I'm very sorry, but I just forgot about it. Poor Nick.
I want a minute. We pay you enough money for this report. I want you to tighten up.
Have a talk to him next week.
All right. Well, next week, and I'm sorry, but Sharmhaven Garden Centre is a great garden centre. I don't know what they have, but go and say hello to Steve.
They have dirt because I got a delivery of dirt from them this week. Some lovely topsoil for my garden.
We're saved by Cherylyn's purchases.
They do. They do.
Thanks, Cheralyn.
Very good topsoil. Just put it in my spring garden. There you go.
Yeah, support your local nursery rather than the big
please do.
stores.
Very
the big
important.
boxes.
Way better. Much better advice.
Yep.
Now, Vicky, what is not so hot? We're covering that part yet?
No, what's hot in her nursery?
Oh, okay. What's hot at Narara Valley?
Yes.
Aside from me, I'm going to say it's all the flowers.
Yay!
This week.
Flowers.
Aside from you.
She's always hot in her nursery.
Can I just say...
You better go down there and check out this girl. She's crazy. Okay, off you go.
Can I just say as well, if you're a little bee flying around Narara at the moment and you stumbled across our garden centre, you'd be off your little bee dial because there are that many flowers here. It is ridiculous. We've got wallflowers, osteospermums, lavender, daisies, bougainvilleas. We've got iris. We've got everything. We're azaleas in flower, calanchoe. Come down and have a look.
I thought you were going to say we've got this, we've got that, but you can't have any.
You can have it all because it's coming out of our ears.
The yin-yang. It's coming out of the yin-yang.
Okay, on the negative side, what do you sort of shy away from? What's not hot?
What's not hot is tired tools. So head out to your garden shed while the weather is nice and sharpen up and get them all oiled up and get your tools all ready for spring, and it'll save you some cash too. Oh, and also don't forget your fathers on Sunday.
Well, that's a nice idea.
Yes.
Nice, tool for the garden. Could be a nice gift for Dad.
Would be.
Yep,
And
that's
people
right.
don't
Go and
have
sharpen your
to...
father's tool.
They don't have to feel guilty about going to Narara Valley. It's not in lockdown at the moment because it's a service for people who would like to get recreation. So there you go.
Yeah.
And you guys are wearing masks back to front on the head, nose, toes, and
No,
everything.
they have to be wearing their mask properly. I've been to a, not your garden centre, I went to a garden centre this weekend. Yeah, there was some very weird mask wearing. You've got to wear your masks properly. Come on, people,
weird
get with the
mask
program.
wearing, eh?
There was weird masks. They're not mustaches.
Okay,
All
well,
right.
let's give ourselves a bit of a test here, Vicky.
Okay.
Because is this
Let's go.
going to be a fact or a fib that Cheralyn's going to tell us this morning? And we had equal rights last week. Let's see if Cheralyn can stump us this week.
Well, I'll tell you
All
what,
right.
Vicky, you've got me thinking because you said that you've got traveller's palms there, and I've remembered that there's a palm called the walking palm tree. It's found in Latin America, and lots of people think it can literally walk around. They actually really, really believe it. And it does actually walk in a way. It's got these roots, and what happens is wherever it's growing, because, down in Latin America it's really jungly, let's just say. So that's my technical botanical term for jungle. So it's there. It's got these roots that are out of the ground, almost like the Moreton Bay figs, and it's in the shade. And as the jungle grows, it gets shady. So it actually stretches out the roots out the front to the sunlight and puts the roots down. And then as it takes hold, it actually pulls the rest of the plant, the palm, along, and then it'll grow there. And then the other roots behind it dies. And then as the sun moves again, it does it again.
I'm just imagining this palm just walking through the bush.
Well, it takes a while, but it
called a walking palm,
slowly
apparently.
walks from shade
I'm gonna go true on this one.
Okay, I say it's bunkum, you say it's true.
Absolutely true. It is Socrates.
Well done, girl.
It is Socrates extrahysia, and it's
Don't
found
be a
in.
smarty.
All right, that's it. I'm
And it
hanging up now.
So you won, Vicky. It is absolutely true. Yeah, it
Hey,
is called the
wait a
walking palm.
minute. So I get the David Bowie poster.
Now you get a walking palm for
She
that.
wants the David Bowie poster. Yes, you can have it.
Vicky, thank you for your time this morning. What's Hot with Vicky every Saturday morning with Pete Little and Cheralyn Darcy. First weekend of spring. We're talking pets right now with our resident vet nurse, Tanya.
Thank you, guys.
You know what we're talking about? It's spring, and we're talking about snails and slugs. Might sound weird that we're talking about this with Tanya, but all of our gardeners are starting to put snail baits out or worrying about them, and I thought it would be really cool to have a chat with Tanya about snail baits. Like, are they dangerous, and is there any that you can use, and what happens to dogs and cats if they
So
eat
do
them?
many come in this time of year, Tanya, that into the veterinary office after being poisoned?
Yeah, look, snail bait toxicity does become very common this time of year in the vet industry, and it is a medical emergency. Like, general snail bait contains a chemical called metaldehyde, and it is extremely toxic to dogs and cats and to wildlife. And it is horrific. Basically, what happens is the animal will start, they start vomiting, they get diarrhea, panting excessively, they get muscle tremors.
So it hits the kidneys, does it? And really makes a mess, yeah.
It actually hits their nervous system, and eventually they start having these seizures, and if they're not treated, they die, and it hits them within 4 hours.
Wow.
If that happens, I'm not going to try and cut you off there, but obviously it's a trip to the vet's required. But do you give them water in the meantime, or nothing? If you find one of your pets in that state, can you give immediate treatment of any type to alleviate the condition or the pain?
No, take them
water,
straight
nothing.
to the vet.
Straight to the vet.
No,
Good.
get them straight to the vet. Unfortunately, there is no antidote, but if you can get them, if you catch them in the act and you can get them to the vet straight away, the vet will make them vomit, and that is your best chance at stopping the toxicity. Get it out of them straight away. The vet will